It's important to note that Association for Women Empowerment, we are based in Boya with our office at St. Therese Primary School just opposite, but we have the authorization to operate all around the national territory. And so since the crisis began, given that the women and the young girls, the youth, are our area of focus, we have had our hearts being moved by the challenges that they go through. And we started out in Boya by doing a mapping. We have a mapping of 700 IDPs. We have the details where they live with their host communities. And we have been giving out food. We've been giving out aid. We also have a mapping for those in Limbe. We have 500. When I talk about mapping, I'm talking about data which, if you ask me tomorrow, bring it to me, I'll show you. We have their names, their phone numbers. And for Douala, we did the mapping for Douala. We have about 1,000 IDPs in 3 areas of consecration. Okay. We have Mabanda, we have the Bepanda locality, and we also have the Bonabome locality. And so those are the areas which have concentration of IDP, and we have interest in the Bonabome location because most of those from the northwest, Balinyonga, Meta, Bikom, there are so many of them there. Mm-hmm. And they've been trying to set up, trying to build, trying to do small commercial activity to take care of themselves and their families. And so we've gone there more than once, more than twice. We've been there about 3 times to bring help to these people. And it's not only Association for Women Empowerment that has been there. We have other groups. The last time we partnered with Southwest and Northwest Women Task Force for Peace, SNOT. We went there to do sensitization for COVID, for coronavirus, and we gave them some kits. That's when we saw their deplorable condition. We saw that they don't even have toilets, they did not have even water to drink, and then later on another NGO, Reach Out Cameroon, went there with their staff and some of their partners to build a borehole for drinking water. Then towards the end of the year, the government itself, through its regional delegation, I think for territorial administration, they shared food items, they shared mattresses, clothing. There were some other like blankets, a lot of things, buckets, so many things, buckets, vegetable oil. So we went there since we did the project in June, July last year. We've been updated about other organizations that are coming there to make sure that life is better for them. So the last time we checked, we realized that because of the COVID pandemic, most of them have lost the little jobs they were doing to care for their families. And so the children were hard hit. They were more hit because the parents couldn't afford to care for these children.
To send them to school.
To feed them, their basic needs, especially feeding. And so that's what gave us now the concept of the latest project we are doing to reach out to them.
Thereby making their situation very preoccupying.
The situation is preoccupying. That's the first thing. That's the underlying topic of today, is that the situation of IDPs is preoccupying.
And of course, the Association for Women Empowerment is there to see how they could better their conditions. So, Zong Akwen Syoge, so how preoccupying or worsening is the situation of these IDPs, particularly in Douala? Because we believe they're everywhere. Like she said, UPO can reach across the national territory, but for the meantime, UPO are focused with these ones here in Douala, and particularly the women, single mothers, and their children.
Right. Thank you, Vanessa. Like she said, Douala is one of those areas which is urban, and most of the things like maybe getting little jobs is difficult to have. Unlike in the villages where the IDPs came from, you could easily do a little thing, a little activity to raise a little money and to be able to feed and take care of the family. And so with that displacement here, they get to a place where they can't have those activities, and so feeding becomes really difficult, taking care of the children and the family becomes difficult. Also, when it comes to lodging, Like she talked about the conditions in which the stayed was really deplorable. Lodging is way more expensive here than they knew where they are coming from. And so with all of that put together, you realize that it's a cause for concern, and we are putting our hands together just to make them have a better experience, just to make their lives a little bit easier and their stay a little bit easier.
All right. I think it's on Monday. I think Monday, because we are now on Thursday, you both reach out to these IDPs and distributed some food items to them. Way beyond that, when it comes to their health situation, what are you people, the association, what are you people doing? Or does it end at the level of giving them this food? How do you empower these women to now become independent?
Okay. Well, the project is in phases. Well, and we expect, or we are looking forward to doing much more for the people, doing much more for the communities. And as we started this time with sharing out food items, we are not just going to be limited to that. And with time we are going to see how we can come in the area of health, maybe basic tests, do sensitization on how to better take care of themselves, hygienic conditions and all of that. So we are not just going to end here as an association in distributing food. With time, we'll do more and we'll do better.
All right. From the food items we saw through the images, I thank you very much to our producer tonight, Jim Do Joshet, for those images. So, Dive, those food items, you said they were locally made, in what you were saying. How I think it's K something. Is it K food or what? I think I've seen it, and I know it is very nutritious. So how did the idea come about?
Okay. Now, it's very interesting to note that we did an activity in Limbe to help internally displaced single mothers to be able to start up their businesses. We did a training on financial education, how to manage their finances. We did a training. The same training consisted on what kind of businesses they could come up with. Then we gave them finances to carry out the businesses that they wanted.
Okay.
So when I did it, I shared it on Facebook that this is an event my association has just done. Then this lady contacted me, the lady in charge of Dovik Relief, Dorekam. And she doubles at the same time as the CEO for KV Food, KV Nutri Food, the locally made cereal, corn, soya bean, and a lot of other nutrients inside. So when she contacted me, she said, I've seen the work you are doing. You are reaching out to so many people. It's rare these days to see young women who are out there in the field to impact communities. I don't know when next do you want to reach out again to those IDPs? Because I want to offer this food to an IDP community. So I told her that I have another outreach, but I didn't have funds for it. And she said, okay, so what IDP communities have you mapped? I told her there's Bepanda, there is Mabanda and Bonabome. So we went around to visit those communities. When we went around to visit those in Bonabome, the children were more malnourished. Were stricken with malnourishment. You could see their hair is red. You see their stomach is protruding. You see their legs are slim. Then their head is big. So she told me, let us target this community. Let us offer them the Nutri food. We told a few other people who were interested, because the Nutri food is not for free. It is bought and then offered to them for free. So that is when the idea, now we drafted it. We said, okay, it's going to be a 3 to 6 months project. Every 2 weeks, we will go down to give them this food. We started by weighing them. We weighed every child that was there. For the launching, we had 40 children. We were expecting 25, but we had 40. And when they came, their parents told us they are going to tell many more people, because so many people are skeptical now to come out to take anything that their kids have to eat. So we weighed these children, took their initial weight before they start taking the KV. It's KV Nutri Food. Good. And so after this, for the next 3 to 6 months, we'll keep going there. Every 2 weeks, we'll give them. We weigh. Every 2 weeks, we give them. We weigh to see that the food is able to help alleviate malnutrition.
Thank you very much, Ndive. Let us have the second question. Are there efforts being made to alleviate their situation? We have been talking, and she just mentioned of what they were offering these people. Away from that, Zoom, what are other things that are being done to help these IDPs? It's never easy. It's been over 5 years now. They don't live in their homes. They do not have an enabling environment. At times, even the environment is not welcoming. And looking at the fact that we are within a pandemic, the economy has become very, very hard, even for you and I. So talk less of these IDPs who are not in their homes. Shelter is difficult, feeding is difficult, health is difficult. What are the things that could be done concretely to help them?
Thank you very much, Vanessa. Like it's always said, knowledge is power. So besides the fact that we are providing for them food, we are also impacting them and teaching them ways in which they can become independent, they can start small businesses, they can become entrepreneurs even with the little they have, such that they would get to a point maybe after a few years or so, they too would become independent, they can stand on their feet. Mm-hmm. So we do a lot of programs where we go out and teach on entrepreneurship, on how to start a small business, how to use what you have, even though it is so small, and yet start up something which will be beneficial for you or for the women and for their families and their children.
All right. So where do the finances come from? If I may ask or may know. Where do you get the funds to be able to permit them do all this?
Well, like Madame Petit talked about, we have funding from well-wishers, from NGOs, from people who, like she said, when we put activities out there and they see what we are doing and they're interested, they come in to help in their little way, so that is how we get funding for every one of the projects that we carry out.
Okay. And the co-founder of AWEC, what are some of those things that could be made to alleviate their situation?
Okay. Now, we understand that it's important to teach a man how to fish. Don't only give him fish. Mm-hmm. So when we did our mapping with these women, they told us the kind of businesses they want to start. Some of them talked about poultry, some of them talked about sewing, some of them talked about hairdressing and pastry. So our intention is that after the 3 months of feeding their children, and for them to see that KV Nutri food is a healthy food to help alleviate malnutrition, we will now do the second phase, which has to do with giving them finances to start up a business. Giving the mothers, the parents, the finances, let them start up the businesses such that they can be able to earn, to generate income, mm-hmm. to care for their families. And not only are we going to give them the finances, among our areas of focus in AWEC is what we call financial education. We understand it's not only money that is needed. You need to be trained to use and even manage the money that you are given. If not so, you will not be able to multiply the money and the business will not be sustainable. So we'll give them this. They've already told us their business ideas. Remember, I told you before going there, we did a participatory approach. Mm-hmm. We didn't just come to the community and say, we want to give you this take. No. We got there, we asked them, we interacted with them, and they expressed to us their first need is food insecurity. They can't feed, especially the children. So we said, okay, we'll target malnutrition to give you people this Nutri food. Mm-hmm. And the second thing is we don't have a source of income, because not only that we have been displaced, we had little things we were doing when we came here, mm-hmm. but the pandemic has made us lose our jobs. Mm-hmm. So now we said, okay, what do you think we can do? And they expressed to us that if you can help us with finances, we can start little income generating activities to care for ourselves. So we said, okay, let's tackle the children for the next 3 to 6 months. Then we'll enter the phase where we can take care of the mothers to get income generating activities.
All right. Are these people you are targeting? When you talk of mothers and children, where are the men? Are the men left out, or the men are completely out of that community?
Okay, now the men are very present, because it's even the men who gave us the permission to rally their women.
Okay.
It's the men, when we come to the houses, it was the men who received us. If the men didn't give their permission, we wouldn't have even spoken to their women or their wives or their children. They were very present. They gave us their accord, and they were happy with the support we brought. But we realized that the men are less affected because they are not the caregivers who stay home to care for the children. They go out and can be able to pick up one or two small odd jobs. But the women are home. They are sitting there. That's why our focus is more on them to get something which even where they are, they could do the little business and still be able to care for their children.
I would turn to Akwen Soge. On the other hand, you have been talking on efforts made in order to ameliorate their living conditions, but don't you think that solving the crisis also is another way to permit them to go back to their hometown?
Well,
is it not in another way helping their situation?
It is. We believe that there's no small effort. Every little thing we can do and put our hands together could bring forth change. So yes, we are helping the parents, we are helping the young women out there, and we are also having at the back of their minds that the little help that they are receiving would also affect the society and solving the crisis. So it's not just, sometimes we look at it just and limit ourselves to just the women or the IDPs, but it's much more than that, because when they are helped and they get better, it's the whole community and the whole society that benefits. And every little step or every little assistance count to make that big dream a reality.
All right, as the project coordinator for the Association for Women Empowerment in Cameroon, what are the challenges that you go through? I mean, the association, what are the challenges you go through in getting to these IDPs and maybe on a daily basis?
All right. One of the major challenges we have actually observed on the field is that people are a little bit afraid. People are
are they reticent? Are they reserved?
They are reserved.
Okay.
They are not willing to meet people. For example, if we go to a community where we haven't been there before for the first time, getting to gather people together to tell them what we are here about or what we have come to do is a little challenging, because they have gone through a lot, and at this point they almost do not trust many people. So that is one of the real challenges we face when we go into the communities, to gain the confidence of the people, to gain the confidence of the IDPs, and actually make them feel comfortable and say, hey, we are not here for anything bad, we are just here to help and to assist.
All right, that's really, then at the level of the association.
At the level of the association,
the challenges.
Well, I would say the number one challenge is the funding, because there's a lot we are willing to do. There's a lot which is on our minds to do to help to reach out, but sometimes we are limited with the fact that we do not have enough financing or fundings to reach out to the communities and to the people who are in need. And Dive, something to add on the challenges at the level of the IDP and the association as well?
When there is a challenge with the body, let me give an example. If the eye hurts, the hand will not say it's not my concern, it is the eye that is paining. No, the whole body feels hurt because the eye is paining. And so the whole body does everything to solve the eye problem so that the whole body can be well again. Now, the challenges that IDPs are facing, we all know it's principally due to the crisis. And it's our prayer, it's our earnest prayer that every effort that is being made by the government, the head of states, the local civil society organizations, the international partners. We have a lot of international partners. We have UN OCHA, we have UN Refugee Council. We have so many of them, Norwegian Refugee Council, who are there to help solve this crisis. And so it's our desire that they find a solution, because IDP is a root. It's not the root. It's just an aftermath of the challenge. So if the challenge is solved, a lot of people will go back home. So we are begging on the government.
I mean, the challenge the association has towards meeting these IDPs at their various locations.
Okay, like the program coordinator rightly said, she's in charge of our programs, she's in charge of our projects. The first one is the challenge of trusting people.
Okay.
Very true. They because a lot of people have lost their lives. You don't know who to trust. The next person could just be someone who wants your death, wants to kill you, so they are afraid to trust.
They're afraid to trust.
They're afraid. And then financing is there. Financing. And we also have sometimes misunderstandings. When you get to the field, you start working, they will come, they have quarter heads. We don't just go there and enter and start working. No. Every IDP community will go, I like order. I work with order. I work with structure. We find out who is the head here. Even among the IDPs, there is a head.
There is a head. Okay. All right.
There's somebody who is the head. You ask yourself, go to this person. That's our leader. You meet her, talk with her. She says, you see this community, we are here. When we got here, this is the head. Go and meet the host head. We work with them and try to come up with an understanding on how we can move forward.
All right. Looking at your camera, if you have to talk to these IDPs or talk to the entire community, what will you tell them?
Okay, what I would tell them is that, life is what happens to you when you were not expecting. You had your plans and it just happened. When it happens, you have to look for a way to adapt. You can't live in regret and say, oh, if this didn't happen, I won't be here. It has already happened. You have to look for a way to move on with your life from this point. And so for the IDPs themselves, those who are internally displaced, you need to build your mind to overcome the challenge and realize that there is life beyond your present condition as an IDP. Exploit opportunities around you and see how you can galvanize them to move forward. And for those who are host communities, I call on them to show more love, to be able to help these people. They are already traumatized by what they've gone through. To be displaced. You have your home, your life is just shattered. Try to be more tolerant with them. And in any way you can, help them, for them to be able to pick up the pieces of their life
and move on. All right. Akwensoge, you take a message?
Well, I would say we all are there to help and support. We may not understand the pain you've actually felt or, what you have actually gone through with the crisis and the displacement and everything, but we are there to show love. We are there to show support. Even as little or as much as we can, we are there and we are available to do so. And we are also encouraging everyone. People, most of the time people say, if it's not part of my family, I don't have any business with that. So we are encouraging people to say it may not be your brother or your sister,
like that spirit of living together. Yes, togetherness.
Try to lend a hand, to stretch out, to help someone in need.
Thank you very much, Zung Akwensoge and Epeti Ndive. It has been a pleasure welcoming you and knowing the situation of these IDPs. It is the cry of the Association for Women Empowerment to see that we all come together and see how we could better the conditions of these displaced, internally displaced persons. That said, we've come to the end of today's edition. Thank you very much for your kind and keen attention. A whole team made sure that this program could be aired or brought to you. And take a round of applause for tomorrow. God willing, we will see you.